Today's episode of Brandidly Speaking is a masterclass in building community from the OG queen herself, Jaclyn Johnson, founder of Create Cultivate. Jaclyn is the icon behind some of the biggest community-driven events that we know and love. We dove deep on who's doing community well, who's not doing it well, and who stands out amongst the crowd. I hope you enjoy, only on Brandidly Speaking. It's a brand new day, and you know what that means. Get ready for another episode of Brandidly Speaking with your host, me, Cris Gordon. Jack, I am so excited to have you on.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. What a journey we've had.
What a journey is right. I mean, I feel like it's important for us to give a little background on everything. First off, I will say that I looked up to the Jaclyn Johnson for my entire career. I'm like, she is badass. I was a Create and Cultivate member. I was like the original CNC membership. Like I did all the things. I went to all the beauty events that you had back in the day. So for a long time, I just admired you from afar.
So sweet. And now we're friends and it's so fun.
And this is for everyone. You can meet your idols and still love them.
Aw.
But we met because I joined a mastermind, Blueprint Mastermind, that you started with Marina Middleton and Allie Webb, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. I'm like a huge believer in what you built there, and I knew it was going to be good because of what you stood for and building community. But it was like beyond my wildest expectations, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Well, you were the first class, and I feel like that first class had some of the biggest transformations, like myself included, honestly. Like, that's where I met Marina. That's where now we bought back Create and Cultivate together. It like transformed my life as much as it did everyone else. But I feel like that specific class had so many friendships, partnerships, collaborations come out of it that have still to this day been so strong. It makes me so happy.
I know. And we're still like all best friends.
Yeah,
And we just
it's the
support
best.
each other and cheer each other on. And I feel like when you think about business and the world of collaboration, that was a perfect example of how you can meet a group of really driven women, and instead of competing to try to like take the one spot that you think you have, you can come together and you're stronger.
100%.
Yeah. I also think that that was the perfect representation of community building, right? And today, I mean, I feel like now, whether we want to admit it or not, community is kind of an overused word.
Totally.
But you're like the OG. You were doing community before it was cool.
Thanks, girl.
Yeah.
No, back in 2011, just starting a community-driven business. Had no idea that would be like a buzzword one day.
You're like this little thing.
Yeah,
I
this
just had
little small side
idea.
project.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the inception of why you started Create and Cultivate way back then. And then we'll talk a little bit about what it is now and how you're kind of showing up differently. But I think it's really important to talk about the impetus of it.
Yeah, totally. So at the time, I was actually running a marketing agency. Like that was my full-time job. I had clients. I was doing that. And I was very young. It was my first company. I didn't know a lot about a lot. And so I started to reach out to, at the time, friends that were female freelancers, female founders. There wasn't that many of us. At least it felt that way. And sort of just asking questions like, how are you guys handling hiring, firing? Who are you using for accounting, whatever? And I kind of saw this hole in the market where I was like, there's really nothing out there that looks, feels, and speaks to me as like a young millennial female founder. I mean, really, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, whatever it might be, was speaking to a 40-year-old white male executive.
Yeah.
And so not to people who are just starting out, especially women. And it's very nuanced. And so I was like, I'm just going to see if there's other people out there who want to attend this event, which I called Create and Cultivate. And the first event was hosted at the Ace Hotel in Palm Springs. And it was really all about, just to bring you back to 2011, it was like about getting offline and DIYing, which was very big at that time. But having a dinner, having speakers, having 25-ish women, most of which I knew, come together and just have conversations. And
So it started really small.
Super
like that.
small.
Okay.
Super small. And basically hosted the first one. Took lots of content. This is the beginning of Instagram, really, or like that kind of, pickup of it. Posted all about it and like got a million people being like, when is the next one? When is the next one? And I thought it was like a one and done. Like I genuinely did not think it was going to be anything bigger than that. And then essentially I did that for 3 to 4 more years, each year growing and pretty much doubling in size. So 25 to 50, 50 to 100. The format changed, the locations changed, but it really, the messaging stayed the same. It was panels, conversations, breakout sessions, fun, little crafty things. And then eventually brands started becoming interested, and like it kind of took on, frankly, a life of its own.
What was at that time the most popular format that you saw people getting really excited about joining in any of the events that you were throwing?
So people really loved the panel conversations. I mean, that was really what we were known for, right? Is like getting really interesting people on the stage. One of the things someone said early days was like, your audience is so quiet, sitting there with a notebook, writing so many notes. Like people couldn't believe it because they were like, most people aren't engaged in the panels at some of these events. They're actually like so boring and so stale and so lame. And like these are actually the people you follow on Instagram, the people who've built the businesses that you love. Like our first bigger event where we had like actual keynotes and actual green rooms and things like that. We had Emily Weiss from Glossier keynote. And this was 2014, maybe 2015. So this is like the earliest days of that. And so we're able to kind of bring cultural relevancy, business, and fun together in a way that no one was doing at the time.
How did you get those guests? And obviously, it probably will be a little bit different of a tactic that you'd have to have today because the world has changed.
So
But like
different.
back then, how are you like getting
Like
those big names?
straight cold emailing, girl. Like I was literally like it really is such a domino effect. I think what I had in my corner was a few things. One was I'm gonna sound 100 years old, but I was a blogger. So in 2007, I started a blog called Some Notes on Napkins. Apparently, it's still live because it got linked in an article the other day on The Cut. And I was like, oh, perfect. I didn't know that website was still live. Perfect. But it's actually like a time capsule of my entire life. So I kind of love it. But this is like the early blogger days. And so I was like represented. I was doing all those things. I knew a lot of the content creators, and they weren't even called content creators then, but bloggers in that world. So I was able to get a lot of these girls to speak because I was friends with them. So like early days, that was like Jerry Hirsch and like Honestly WTF. I don't know if you remember those girls, and Garance DeRay and like some of these like early influencers to speak because I was friends with them. And all of the CEOs, so like an Emily Weiss or whoever, wanted to be around those influencers too because that's important for their brand. So I was able to kind of cobble together credibility from these relationships. And also, there was nothing like this. Now, to your point, there's a lot of places women can speak. There's a lot of women conferences. There's also really just cool conferences for everyone. Speaking has become its own industry and business more so than it's ever has been. And I'm not talking about like keynote speakers, like true TED style speakers just showing up at an event. Now a lot of people command six figures. So it's very, very different. Whereas before, it was really a on-the-ground operation, and people were really excited just to meet their consumers because no one was really doing that.
So you've always been good at kind of like leveraging your own personal brand and influence to curate a room and curate a community. How do you feel that people can show up today and leverage their personal brand kind of the same to like tap into some of the resources around them?
Yeah, I talk about this a lot when I'm building, like when you're early days building your business. It's like you really have to think about the barter economy. It's a huge piece of it because usually you have no budget, right? Like you have no money to spend, you have nothing to give except for your services, your products, whatever it might be.
You're like, is it free 99?
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Totally. And like that was me in the early days. Like I was like, what can I offer in exchange for getting something? And you really have to start by playing in your space, meaning finding brands or influencers or whatever that are within like your same range of what you're operating in, and figuring out how you can create something valuable for them in exchange for them doing something valuable for you, whether that's a post, whether that's showing up to an event, whether that's contributing flowers, whatever, and then you're offering marketing services, support, whatever it might be. And that barter economy is really how Create and Cultivate started. It was a lot of women just being like, I want to be part of this. What can I do? And so the early day events were very cool and scrappy because so many women were coming together and showcasing their art, their work, their products, like whatever it might be. But it was beneficial for everyone. And so I think it's really about figuring that out early on and knowing what you can offer. And then just paying it forward. Like, I think that's one thing I've done like throughout my entire career. I think like most people I think would say this about me is like, I'm very generous and like, I definitely pay it forward.
Everyone that I know that I talk to about you, it's like the first thing that they say about you.
That's so
It's beautiful.
sweet.
Like even an event that I go to now, it's like whoever the vendor is, whoever, they're like, oh my God, Jack, she's just like shown up for me time and time again. And I think that speaks volumes to your character.
And I think it also speaks volumes to my success because I do think it really makes a difference. And when people show up for you and they are willing to go to your event, talk about your event, post about your event, obviously that's in my case. But I think that's because people knew me and they also knew how hard I worked to get every single thing I have. I remember like one time going to dinner with Jerry Hirsch, and she was like, "You're working really hard. And it looks like you're also working really hard." And I remember being like,
girl, take a
damn.
shower.
Yeah, like legit take a shower, eat a snack. But I was like, I think people really respected that.
Yeah. Okay, I have to know, what was probably the biggest name that you got in that room to speak on a barter or on some type of like, do this favor for me?
Well, all of them really. Like, we don't pay speakers. That's something that's like been like very like notorious about Create and Cultivate, is like, for unless we're working with a brand and you're doing a brand deal, so
Yeah.
like, whatever, it's like Fossil or Reebok or whatever, and like we're partnering you with a brand and you're speaking on a stage with a giant brand logo and whatever, then of course we're like paying talent for that. But for the most part, we've been really lucky, and that talent has been like willing to like do this for us, but also sees the benefit in it. And when I say barter, I mean we do build pop-up shops for them.
Yeah.
We do outgoing press for them. Like, obviously, if it makes sense for them, we do email blasts, like whatever it is that's going to promote whatever it is that they're promoting. Of course, we barter in that way. I was gonna say, like, in terms of gets, there was so many, but I think like the biggest ones that I personally was involved with and like year over year, like working on these deals, was like Martha Stewart, I think was like a huge
Yeah,
one
it's
for
such a
me.
good
Like,
one.
I went through so many back channels. Like, I found her best friend through my friend who had a caviar company, who like knew her friend because she knew she liked this caviar. I mean, I was real shady. And I like didn't care. I was like, I'm going to get her to do this. And she was amazing. And then obviously like Kim Kardashian was like a massive get for us. Obviously Allison, my business partner, played a huge role in that, but just getting on her schedule is a gigantic feat in general. And the fact that she did that completely for free for us was actually totally insane.
It's completely insane. And I think that people have a lot to learn from you in the art of just being relentless and continuing to fight for something that you really believe in and going to every single length to make it happen. And I think when you really believe in what you're building, it's a lot easier to do that.
100%. And also just believing in what you're building, believing that you are going to give them some result and giving them the best possible experience on site.
Yeah. When do you feel like either brands or other communities fall flat in kind of staying true to their promise on what they're building?
I think it's so tough because it's like there's community driven brands. Like, our product is our community and events for our community.
Yeah.
Then there's brands that are products that
Mhm.
try to build a community around a product. But I think at the end of the day, community comes together through a common interest, problem, value, whatever it is. It comes together around something specific, like a certain type of sense of humor, a certain type of whatever. Like, there's something there that connects the tissue. And I
Yeah.
think for us at Create and Cultivate, there's no space that's giving real talk advice around building your business or being a woman in business in general. And we were solving that problem and providing access in a way that no one else was. So people really gravitated towards us. I think where I was really always focused and talked about how we should show up is like, we want to be your big sister in business. And that was like always the tagline. And that meant like, we're going to give you like tough advice sometimes, but all we care about you and your company and where you're going. And we want to be giving you all the resources that we've had access to and the experiences we've had, because we're like maybe a few years above you or whatever it might be. And that was our promise. And that's why I think people loved us so much, is like our delivery was always consistent. And I think where brands miss the mark is they're trying to sell you immediately, like out the gate, trying to sell and monetize immediately. They aren't giving you real value. Like, the product of whatever it is they're selling, whether it's a course or an event or whatever, isn't that great. I think that's also part of it. And three is like when they lose the plot a little bit
Yeah.
of like, why did I start this in the first place? And you've seen communities like shift and change and try to figure it out and be like, oh, actually, no, we're more of this, or we're going more in this direction. And I think that's where you start to kind of lose your angle, is when you make a big pivot on your community.
I think that, obviously from where I sit, I get asked the question all the time from brands, right? Especially now that it's like the hot word in the streets, which, by the way, I've been trying to tell everybody for the last 10 years. I'm like, you guys have to build community, but you have to do it authentically.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity, another overused
Yeah.
word. We'll get to that another day. I think that when it comes to brands, there are some brands that are starting out and doing it well. There's other brands that are not doing it well at all, to your point. Do you have a brand that you kind of kept your eye on that you think from the brand side is doing it well?
Yeah, I actually have a very interesting one for this that I got introduced to actually from my boyfriend, but it's called Bandit. Do you know this company?
No.
Okay. So it's Bandit. And they are basically, I guess you could put them in the same category as like a Nike, right? They're basically attire for running. That's their
Okay.
thing. And they went extremely hard in the New York running community. That's how they started. It's like the founders they ran on all the different clubs. They were a part of it. This is before they even like really started to launch. They learned a ton about this community and they saw lapses in like what a Nike or a Gymshark or whatever was creating in terms of for runners. And there was nothing that was like the streetwear of running, right? Like there was no cool brand that was really doing that. And so they launched that and then they went city to city, really getting in on these running clubs like Chicago or whatever. And they were very selective and they just created this on the ground movement that this is for runners by runners. And it's so interesting because now they're absolutely crushing it. I mean, truly, like if you Google them, they're on every marketing thing as like
Yeah.
the way to do
That's
community
awesome.
marketing. And it's funny because like they don't really work with influencers because they're like, we don't really have to. The people, we're direct to the people who buy our product.
Those are the influencers.
Those
to
are
them.
the influencers within their
Are the consumers.
community.
Yeah.
And then also like the influencers come to them now. Like they want to work with them. And that's like the dream scenario.
Yeah.
And so it's been awesome, like, you know, getting insight into that company. My boyfriend's an angel investor in it. And I've just like been like blown away where I'm like, yes, that's a niche. You built for the community. You were part of the community when you started. And then you took it across the United States and went city by city. And that it wasn't an overnight success, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't $100 million marketing budgets. It was a very like grassroots approach, which I think most companies who are venture backed or whatever, and like they're venture backed, but like it's hard to move that slowly. But like if you start with that in mind, and even the same is true for Create and Cultivate. The company wasn't really a fully fledged company until 2016.
Yeah.
But for 5 years, I ran it through my agency as like this thing I was kind of just building and learning and doing.
You
and
fostered
like,
a community.
yeah, and fostered a community, not thinking I would like ever make this into something that was like highly monetizable.
Yeah. And have an amazing exit.
And
on top
yeah,
of
and
that.
have an amazing exit. Yeah.
You know, I talk a lot about companies have always said, like, put your money where your mouth is. And I think now it's put your people where your mouth is,
Yeah.
right? So if you're going to talk about something, be about that thing and put your employees in those scenarios so that they can really come up with the best ways to engage a community. I think especially when brands are trying to do this because they are ultimately trying to sell something, if they show up and they're just trying to sell and that is their goal and they don't actually want to foster a community, I'm like, you're shit out of luck. It's not going to work. Like the consumer's going to see right through it. Everyone is way too smart. Do you think there's a brand that's not doing it well?
Oh gosh, not doing it well. I mean, I think most brands aren't doing it well, but I think some brands just like that's not even what they're looking to do. Like they're just like trying to sell like the quickest, like fast through the ringer type of thing. I mean, and also I think those brands are also being kind of successful. And I think most of the brands are TikTok brands, right? Like where you're seeing like the lip stain or the whatever, like we're buying those products. We have no idea what those brands are, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is random, whatever.
I'm like,
and
it could burn my face off.
I'm
gonna buy it.
It could literally burn my face off. I don't know what the ingredients are. I don't follow this brand on Instagram. I don't know who they are, but like we're buying them. So there is this like dichotomy happening between like these like very grassroots community driven brands and these other brands that are just like moving fast and doing that. And so I think brands are at this tension point where they're like, do I go all in on community or do I just like spend the marketing dollars to go viral?
What would you suggest?
I think you should, for longevity's sake, go all. I mean, I think that's a cash grab. I think if you want to make quick money, you don't give a shit about what the next thing is going to be or like the next evolution or growing a big team or making a real impact, then yeah, that's a great, Alibaba Express business.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if you care deeply about what you're building and you're trying to solve a problem or build something, then you absolutely need to lean into community.
Yeah. And I think you have to be willing to do hard things and be vulnerable even as a brand. And I think that like founders have a little bit of an easier time being a little bit more vulnerable because they're kind of a personality behind it. And so some founder-led brands do this.
I have a good example of a brand not doing it well.
Okay,
I just got it. Okay, just quickly.
Let's go.
I was going to say The Row. So I don't know if you saw this article that came out, but The Row had like a super fan that bought all of their products, like full price. Not PR packages, not whatever. And she has lots and lots of followers because she like gets everything, styles it, shows the product, whatever. And they basically like cease and desisted her because people were thinking she was like a real brand ambassador. And it was like the weirdest approach. I'm like, this is a super fan who pays
Yeah.
full price for your products, who you literally could reach out to and create some sort of partnership or whatever. But they were, the way the breakdown in all of, Business and Fashion or Vogue or whatever was like, they like the mystique. They don't want anyone to feel like that they're paying anyone to do anything because they're just so cool and so whatever. And I'm like, big miss.
Yeah.
Big miss.
Huge.
Yeah.
What is it? That movie? It's like huge
mistake. Yeah, exactly. I just
Um,
felt like that was so silly. I was like, damn, that was such a weird move
I know.
in this day and age.
I think that that's why some of these luxury brands are having a hard time in this market.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding of the landscape and how to approach it now. I think the
Yeah.
consumer is telling them what they want, and some brands are choosing not to listen. And whether they're trying to do that radically,
Crazy. I will also say, I love the Olsen twins. And also, if they ever want to speak at Create Cultivate, they are a dream get. They like literally do not speak in public. But yeah, I was just like, that's such a weird move.
and also you're like, hire me, I'll be your community
Yeah.
consultant.
Oh my God. Of
Like, I'll
course.
teach you
I'll
how to
work
do this
for
right.
purses.
Will work for purses.
Yeah.
100. I second that. Thank you. Call us. So I think that the reality is here, and I talk to brands about this all the time, whether it's like large legacy brands or indie founder led brands. Having a mission, sticking to it, and actually like showing up and being vulnerable when you make a misstep, like sometimes you're gonna have to take risks, especially now. And if the risk kind of goes astray, like you have to back yourself up and you have
Yeah.
to be willing to take accountability. You have to be willing to be a little bit vulnerable with your community. Like the consumer will lean in and they're there for the journey and they're buying into that story. They just want to feel like they're a part of it.
But I will say, I do think that's becoming inauthentic too. Like that whole trend that came out where it was like, we apologize for having the best burritos or whatever. And I was like, okay, God, now that's
People
a
are like
thing.
bastardizing it.
Yes, exactly.
Like, honestly.
So
Yeah.
now that's become like a meme of itself. It's like the apology note and this and that and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, that's almost jumped the shark. And it's like, we're almost entering this new phase where, again, I don't know where it's going per se, but it's like, it's not necessarily fully building in public, but it's not necessarily not being the face, but it's a version of it. I think that's like a little different than what we've seen. I just don't know what it is yet. You'll be figuring it out, I bet.
I'm like, we figured it out 2 days ago, Elena.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that to your point, it's just a really difficult market to navigate.
It's oversaturated. There's so much content. There's so little attention. The algorithms have made it nearly impossible. It's really, really challenging. And I also think we're in a very like clickbait, rage bait world where it's like now the brands are buying into that and doing that type of stuff, which again it works for a reason. Like, we passed along in our like group chat for Create and Cultivate the Reformation email, like post the Victoria Beckham coming out. Like it was something like video of Victoria dancing, and it was like, but it was like a joke, and it was like them like in there. I forget what the name of the email was, but they riffed on it so fast within 24 hours. Like, and that email obviously was like highly clicked and shared and like all those things. But it's like has nothing to do with the brand. It's actually like doesn't make any sense. It's just good marketing. But what does it actually stand for? What's the mission? What's the message behind all of it? So I think there's like a lot of that happening too, where it's like, what's the easiest, quickest click and link? And that's why I think things like Substack are becoming so popular because they're thoughtful, they're slower, they're more subscriber, they're very like breaking down these like quick clickbaity things.
Yeah, I talk about Substack all the time because especially in PR, I feel like everyone's like, I just want to get in Forbes or I want to be in Business of Fashion. Like, they have their kind of holy grail. I'm like, you got to look at Substack. Like that vertical has been growing so rapidly. Also, we know that there's a lot more opportunity to own your voice on those platforms and tell your story. And so I think that when it comes to leaning into different verticals for brands, like that's a place where they can kind of experience and like explore. Yeah. Like so many of these brands have been taught to stay in the lines.
Yeah.
And I think to some respect, like you still have to stay within some parameters or else you've, again, like jumped the shark and totally missed the point. You're trying to be something that you're not. And if you are trying to be something that you're not, it can fall super, super flat if it's done the wrong way. So you need like some serious guidance on how to do that. But when you have an opportunity to like play as a brand and be a little bit creative and allow yourself to like put on a different hat for the day and you're ready to like withstand what comes with that change, then that's to me like where the magic lies.
Yeah.
Is like getting that part right.
I also think Substack can be a place for your best customers, like your insiders, your people that like know and love the brand.
So do you think brands should have their own Substacks?
I think so. I think again, it can be different versions of it. It could be a character within the brand that has the Substack that is like a representation, or it could be multiple people within the company, their viewpoints, or it can be just for these like insider people that you're creating and storytelling with. Like, I think there's so many cool, like to your point.
Are they really writing the articles or is AI writing the articles?
I hope that they're at least, I think the concept, if you want to do it right, because I think LinkedIn is just a bunch of robots talking to each other all day long. It's
All
crazy.
day.
It's like,
insane.
here's my AI paragraph.
Yes.
Here's my AI response. It's like actually,
Worst.
and I've been
But
like,
even Instagram captions are like that now.
no, I know. It's so
Ugh.
bad. It's
Yeah.
like, and you could just tell immediately. It's like, and I think it's one of those things where you have to have a point of view. And I think with AI, you can leverage that after a while if you train, the AI on like, this is my point of view. This is the way I talk. This is my style. But that's going to take time. But you have to have such a clear human point of view.
Yeah. And, it's funny when you say point of view because I think a lot of brands are scared to have an opinion on something.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. It could be like a little bit risky to share your point of view because you feel like maybe you're going to alienate people. But I always say, if you are not clear who you are for, then the people that you are for will never find you.
Totally.
You
I think
know?
a lot of the brands that do it really well are creating these worlds that like we want to be a part of and that are really aspirational, and they like don't really stray from that. And like you look at like Jacquemus or Cezanne, or like where it's like I'm buying into the world that they're building, and like they never stray from that world, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. And I think for brands where it's like, to your point, like the POV isn't strong, where it's like this is like where we play. This is like our lane. Like we are about this. It's like, again, you just are going to constantly be changing your opinion all the time and losing your customer.
Yeah. It's like, don't get on Substack and just basically not say anything. It's like show up and,
Totally.
and have something
And
to
have
say.
like a 3 to 6 month plan of like, this is what the Substack journey is going to be for my customer. Don't just start it to start it.
Yeah. Like community too.
Yeah.
I feel like a
exactly,
lot of
same
brands
thing.
are like trying community and like they're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yes,
you know?
totally. I know. It's like, well, there was this like, I forget who was talking about it the other day on the internet, but like how Aloe launched, like they were doing pay for play, like classes online, but then it was like everyone was giving away these classes free. Then they like switched it to community, and now it's like a loyalty program. And it's like, so people who used to pay now we're getting it for free. It's like messy, like you're kind of messing with that whole mentality versus starting something for your community because you love and care about them. You're kind of like, okay, well, we can't monetize this anymore. So here you go. It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Yeah. And I think that when you create and cultivate
Yes.
such a strong community, they show up for you
Yeah.
in so many different ways outside of even what you expected. And, in the last few months, you went through something scary personally and you got diagnosed with breast cancer. You chose to share it publicly. And I think you were met with a lot of support. But can you talk a little bit about how you leaned into your community at a time like that?
Yeah, totally. So I waited a minute to share it with my community. I really wanted to understand exactly what I was dealing with, have a solid plan in place, and learn as much as I could about it. But the reason I decided to share it was like a few different things. One was my journey was pretty unique. Like I didn't have a lump. This was just a routine mammogram. I had calcifications, which I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know this could become stage 0 cancer. So these were all things I learned along the way. And I consider myself someone who's pretty on top of their health and pretty well informed on things like breast cancer, health, et cetera. And I had no idea. So that was number one. Number two was I know my audience is like 95% women. So knowing those two things, I was like, I have to spread awareness around this. Like it was, less about like me going through, here's what I'm going through. It was more like, hey, this is something I had no idea about. Here's where I am with it. And I just want to share this story as a way to spread the message that 1 in 8 women get breast cancer and it can be no lump. So if you're pushing off your mammogram because you're like, I don't have a lump, whatever, I'll figure it out. It's like, no, go in. And what's been so shocking about that was one, the outpouring of amazing people who messaged me and all of the support. But two is I get a message at least 2 to 3 times a week now that says, hi, I went in and got a mammogram because of your story. And I now have, X cancer or stage 0 or whatever, or I'm fine, but I just wanted to let you know, like, I went in because of you. and it's overwhelming. It's actually like overwhelming in such a amazing way that one is like, obviously I can be there for these women and guide them through like what I went through, but two is like I maybe have hopefully helped detect this early so that they have a better chance of success.
Yeah. Do you think that it kind of redefined the relationship you had with your community?
Yeah, I think so. I think like I've never posted about the bad things that have happened to me throughout like my entire Instagram life. I feel like I didn't really post about my divorce, like, at all. I don't even think I ever did. I think maybe on stories, like once I talked about it. I didn't talk about the fact that like my ex-husband had addiction issues. And so I was dealing with that and going to Al-Anon and learning so much about the addiction process. I didn't talk about when the company was in a bad place because no one was doing that, like,
Mhm.
and, all the things I was struggling with, going through that. Like, so I never share like bad news, I guess, which is, very millennial. I think like,
Mhm.
it's very
We're
like
like, "I'm fine.
everything's
I'm fine."
perfect. Just
Yeah.
like the house is on fire in the background.
Yeah.
But I think like, so I think it was like it was a rare moment for me that I think a lot of people were like, whoa, like you really never know like what's happening. And like, also, I think there was just like a pause around like just the circumstances around it. Like, I think people were just like very shocked to like learn that. I also had like uprooted a lot of my life. So I think it was just like people were like, what is this? There's a lot going on with her. So yeah, I think it definitely changed the relationship.
Yeah, and was it kinda hard for you because it came off the heels of so much change too?
I mean, yeah, personally, it was like a real nightmare. I mean, I was like, but I also felt like it was weirdly meant to be in a way because I feel like I had the best possible care at MSK, like,
Yeah.
which is Memorial Sloan Kettering here in New York. Whereas I think like being in LA, I don't know. It's like I think everything happened for the
Yeah.
reason it was supposed to in a weird way. So yeah, I think it was a lot, but I feel like I'm also used to a lot. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
definitely have like had a lot of like unspoken stress over the last 10 years that like I've never talked about. So I think it's like I also one of the things about me, I think that people always like to say is like I'm extremely resilient. And I think that's something that's one of my best qualities.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it because you found out about the diagnosis when you were, like, at a work event, right?
Yes, I was I was like the worst. I was in Arizona for like a night, basically doing a dinner with our partner Zillow, and I was flying to Savannah the next day to go
Oh
to
my god, yeah,
seven-figure
and yeah, and you were together,
seven-figure founder
yeah.
retreat. So I don't think I told you yet
No,
until after
no.
that. So I had to go through 2 events, not tell anyone except I told Marina, obviously, which is why my boyfriend flew in because he was like, "You're freaking out," and like I had to be like interviewing people, talking to people, and being like, I need to go home and like immediately. I was like scheduling MRIs, like I was like doing everything like while I was there, which was crazy.
Yeah, it's
Also, like, I had the, stereotactic biopsy, so my boob was, like, a big bruise. I mean, it's crazy what women do, like,
I
it's
know.
actually insane, like, you show up, you smile, you put on the brave face, and then
Yeah.
you figure it out.
And you know what? If not enough people talk about it, then you kind of either think you're alone or that no one
Mhm.
else is going through it, or you don't know what to do in order to like protect yourself or take precautions. So I think it was really brave being able to share that. I think a lot of leaders struggle with sharing or oversharing and how that either builds connection or is like too much. Do you think there's like a balance or like a
Yeah, I
lens that you
mean,
have to look
it was
through?
interesting, so I didn't tell the team either, and, basically, we had our team retreat scheduled for a week after, Seven Figure Founder Retreat, which was, like, amazing. It was in Arizona at Miraval. It was, like, so exciting, and it was literally the only time I could get in for this specific MRI that I had to get. So, obviously, I couldn't go on the retreat. So, I basically told the team, like, one-on-one and in some groups, and it's the worst thing to tell people, like, everyone thinks they're getting fired. So I'm like, "So I need to tell you something," or like, whatever, and they're like, "Oh god." I'm like, "Ah." But, I felt like it was,
Oh my
I
god.
wanted them to understand why I wasn't going on obviously the team retreat and that, like, my schedule the next couple months was gonna be up in the air because I was really, like, touch and go. And they were amazing, obviously, and I think it made them, feel like, like they're part of something and that, like, I'm a human being. I'm not just, like, a person on the Zoom screen. So, I think there's that. I think, where it gets tricky or difficult is, like, the concept of like we're a family and like whatever. It's like there has to be boundaries. Like I think there's I some of my best friends are former employees. Like I think there definitely are amazing relationships that can come out of building like and growing a company together, but I also think like there has to be like an emotional distance around the work itself
Yeah.
because you are the founder. No one's going to care like you care. It's like you have to kind of be an island of one a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think that what you do really well, and Marina also, is your team is like a community too. So it's like they feel bought in. It's like they have their own little community. I'm always trying to get on the inside of that community. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey girls. Like,
Yeah.
but the way that they like function, come together, support each other. It's like, it's almost as if to really be a brand that's successful at creating community on the outside, you have to be creating community on the inside.
For sure. And they are their own little friend group, which is so cute. And it's like, as we've grown, it's gotten even better, especially because we like don't live in the same cities. But I will say it's like, we definitely treat it that way. I think we have all sorts of women on the team and like, we're constantly like, who is cool and relevant? What are you guys into? What type of event would you buy a ticket to? Would you go to this? Do you think this is interesting? Like, it's really fun to be able to have those conversations. Like, even the creative, which is what I really focus on for Create and Cultivate, I work with Taylor and Monique on our team a lot about that. And like, we have such different, like, Taylor's in San Diego, Monique is in Atlanta. We're different ages, we have different styles, but like we come together on a vision of like what is cool and relevant and like what's going to be different about this. And it's so fun to see it come to life because all of our opinions matter in that way.
What's like the craziest idea that the team has come up with?
Oh my God. I mean, there's so many and like they're all out of budget, which is like so annoying. I mean, Marina will always like send over these pins from like, there's like this Brunello Cucinelli like draped fabric. She's like, what if we just did this? I'm like, easily $1 million. Easily $1 million build. But I mean, we want to do the craziest stuff all the time. It's just like always comes down to budget.
I feel like the festival was like a really big moment and just like a slam dunk.
Yeah.
And honestly, it could have gone catastrophically wrong.
Oh my God, truly. No,
and you're like, I'm waiting for all my haters to see us shine.
It was nerve wracking. I mean, it was like our first large scale event since being back. And like, I feel like we did an amazing job. It was also the first event we had where we had like more than 2 stages. We had just so many like the Connect where everyone was having their meetings. Like there's a lot of things that were new to me. So like the other stuff doesn't scare me as much just because I've done it so many times. Yeah. But the newness, I was like, how are we going to have 100 people meeting at, like for 15 minutes and switching and like, whatever. Like I was like, nervous, but
tech involved
the team really like figured it out.
And so just for context, for any of those who don't know that are listening, you founded Create and Cultivate, you exited, and then you bought it back with Marina Middleton.
Yes.
Okay. And now tell us a little bit about version 2.
Yeah. So basically version 1 had 2 life cycles, I would say. Like there was like pre-COVID and post-COVID. So pre-COVID, we were really like the largest media company for ambitious women in career. We had podcasts, licensing deals, large scale events, smaller events, influencer events, a complete bespoke service line of events for partners, books. I mean, you name it. We had literally everything going on. We also had like TV shows in development, all these things that ended up with COVID.
You had my credit card on file.
Yeah, exactly. We had Cris Gordon paying us a lot of money. No, I'm just kidding. But literally like COVID changed everything. Obviously, we completely flipped to digital. And became an online events business and really like hosting a lot of online events, having membership, things like that. So like full 360. And that was like a very successful business as well, just totally different. And so there was obviously the momentum drop of like, up and to the right to like, okay, up and to the right, but it's like not to the level it was when there was events. I sold the business in 2021. So like pretty right after COVID, obviously given I had no idea what was going to happen. We were an events-driven business. I was very burnt out, all these different things. Private equity came in. And then from 2020, I would say 2 really, to 2020, end of 2023, I was really not involved. And the company kind of shifted in terms of what they were offering. They really went in like a wellness direction, which had always been like a sub vertical for us, like wellness and beauty and things like that. But like that was their main event that they were really like focused on. And obviously events were like kind of just creeping up. So it was like a weird time. It was like, are we digital? Are we this? So I don't envy like that time period when they were really building that. And so basically like when Marina and I got the opportunity to buy it back, we were building Blueprint, which was doing really well. It's like, again, these smaller, really like curated events, masterminds. And my initial idea was like, let's take this, let's combine it with Blueprint and do these things at scale. We'll have like a bigger platform. Like we'll be able to do more of these like masterminds and you know, all that kind of stuff. But Marina was like, no, like we need to come back like big and like we gotta like go back to like the OG Create and Cultivate, like, you know, really bring it back. And I was like, cool, I don't want to, I'm exhausted. Like I don't want to be like 2 a.m. stuff in gift bags. Like
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. But like she was like, well, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm down. And I was like, okay, I'm like, and I'm down to support that vision. Obviously I know how to do it and I can give you all the information and help build the things I'm really good at. But like, this is your show if you're going to do it. And so we went into it with this idea that we wanted to do a large scale festival event. Because when we looked at the landscape, we're like, okay, Coachella's doing well. Like Davos is doing well. Cannes is doing well. Like those, like these big tentpole events are doing really well. Like people want to get outside. They want to feel like excited and inspired and like, why not take it to the next level and go all in? Because previously we were doing 2 big events, like 1,000-person events, but twice a year in New York and LA, typically, or like West Coast, East Coast. We're like, let's combine one and just go even bigger and have people like fly in for it and make it like a big deal. So that was the idea around festival. We also launched more intimate style events, retreats, things like that. We relaunched the podcast together, but the overarching vision is still like be the #1 destination for ambitious women wherever they are. So online, in your feed, on your podcast station, whatever it might be.
I have 2 questions, and one of them is, do you think that the reason why it wasn't as successful after your exit, even though you still served on the board, was because there wasn't like a founder or a face like at the helm really nurturing the community? Or
I don't think it was because of that. I do think it was because I had built, I think where my factor came in was twofold. One was like, I had really built the financial side of that business on my back. I was the only salesperson for so long. We were doing like 14 million in revenue. Like, and I, not because I wanted to be, like, I would try to bring in salespeople. And like, this even happens to Marina today. The best person to sell a company is the founder, like always. And so I was just constantly sucked in and like doing it. I also think I was like a rare breed of founder where it's like I could sell, I could do the finances, I could do the creative, I had a grip on talent and I understood marketing. And so I would be like a monster on all the different things. Was I like a good CEO? Probably not. Like Kate, who came in after me, was a great CEO. Like she, like her leadership was really great. Like the way she approached things was really smart. Like she was a great, you know, venture-backed, PE-backed CEO. But a wild ass founder who is like, I will stop at nothing to make this successful is like hard to replicate.
Yeah.
You know,
and I feel like you kind of have both now in Marina. You have like a
which
good
is
CEO
exactly
and a wild ass founder.
No, totally. That's literally.
And then you as well. As
no,
like
it's like, it's actually a perfect combination. And I think that's why it works. Like so many people ask us like, how does this work? How does this work? Because we stay in our lanes like very much. And Marina has the wild hair and she wants this, which is like the one thing you cannot teach.
Yeah.
And she's doing
like
that.
A dog
and
with a
I
bone.
have like, and I have the background and I've been through it and I understand like from like a, you know, very high point of view, like what needs to actually happen to make this successful.
And obviously a lot of brands are leveraging your community and leveraging other communities, whether they're like sponsoring panels or sponsoring pop-ups. Do you think that that strategy is for every brand?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think like at the end of the day, like the brands that do really well, like Create and Cultivate, like understand like full integration. Like we're not, and we've never been like slap a logo type of partners. Like we're like, this needs to be a fully integrated experience. We help concept the pop-up shops. We want your founder or CMO or whoever on stage talking about the product. We want the follow-through email. We want you in the gift bag. We want like all the touch points to really feel cohesive. And I think that's like what we've done so well as an events business. So it's like the brands who get it. And I think like they come up and they like show up and show out and they have a very successful experience. I think at the end of the day, like there are brands that are very obsessive about their own experiences and they want to do their own events, which I totally understand, but I think you'll never grow outside of that audience. Like I think you have to tap other audiences and communities, and maybe it's not ours, right? Like I think there's like other opportunities where you can obviously tap like different types of audiences, but I think there is so much success in lending credibility and really like grabbing from these businesses that have built the community that you're trying to build.
Yeah.
Just buy in
Yeah.
and show up in a way that is really meaningful, really cool, really smart.
And you have to think about the KPIs outside of just, okay, are these consumers that are going to buy tomorrow? Because I think that's like the other mistake that so many
Totally.
brands make. It's like they get integrated into these opportunities. And even we counsel our clients all the time on ways that they can leverage other communities that are, of course, their core consumer, but that they're not doing it for like the immediate sale tomorrow. That's like a happy byproduct if it happens. But at the end of the day, it's like they're doing it to begin their relationship with that community as well.
Exactly. I think a great example of this was Biosands. Like, I don't know if you remember, like
Yeah.
they launched with us. Like they launched out of Create and Cultivate, and then over 2 years did all of our activations. We did smaller scale like events for them as well. Like so much around their launch, and it was so successful because they immediately got an audience that was like perfect for them, like the clean skincare girly.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, again, it has to be like a long-term type partnership for it to really like make sense.
Yeah. And I also think that obviously the way that even businesses that are community driven businesses like Create and Cultivate start today is going to be different than how you.
So much more challenging.
I mean, what's kind of cool is that like you got to borrow the existing like IP of the brand in this next iteration. And
Yeah.
so you already started at an advantage and then you were able to kind of like revive it in a fresh new way. And I think that that's really hard to do
Yeah.
because if you're already losing kind of like your share of the market to
Yeah.
other people, it's harder to like come back out and be like, we're here and like we're back and we're better than ever.
That's 100% true. And it's definitely something that we felt, which is also why we did festival. Because we're like, I think we're the only venture backed, really like women in business experiential business like that's out there, or women community besides like Chief, I guess, which is like more of a real estate play. We're like, what can we do that's like harder to replicate? Because like there's so many events now.
Yeah.
There's so many mini CNC events and like, which is amazing. Like there's so many dinners, there's so many things to go to. What's the thing that we can do that no one else can do like us? And like festival was the answer to that.
Yeah. Do you think that if I just want to hear your advice on someone looking to be a part of a community, like where do they start?
Yeah, you can't dip a toe. I think that's the biggest thing. I think the girls who did Blueprint or go to the retreats or whatever, they're all in.
Yeah.
They go in with the agenda to talk to everyone, meet everyone, have those conversations. I think starting at like a smaller event and then working your way up to a bigger event is a great way to get involved, because then when you get to the bigger event, you have your friends there already. But I think you have to really lean in and then again, like make your own path. Like after that event, how are you following up? How are you showing up? How are you like, continuing to maintain those relationships?
And what does it take to build longevity in a community today?
I mean, I think you have to keep delivering value. Like, I think that's the number one thing. You have to keep providing value in some way, shape, or form. And if as soon as you stop providing value and you're just selling, you're dead.
All right. So what do you think is the most exciting opportunity that lies ahead for whether it be brands or other businesses similar to Create and Cultivate or Create and Cultivate? Like, what is the most exciting thing that you see in the future that everyone needs to be watching out for?
I mean, I think we're in this like massive transition right now where influencers are becoming brands and brands are becoming influencers, all those things. So you're seeing communities evolve from people. And I think those are the people who are doing it really well. So like you have Alex Cooper and Unwell, you have Maggie and Hot Smart Rich or whatever, like you have these people that are now creating their community underneath their specific brand. I think that's the future in reality. I think the beauty of Create and Cultivate is we don't hinge on one name. We are everyone, right? Like the people on our stage are incredible, amazing.
Yeah.
And so our face, I guess in a way, is me, but it is everyone as well. Like, you're going to show up and not just like hear from me yapping. You're going to hear from like the best in the business.
And people can like see themselves in you. And I think that's really, really important. I think that it strikes a balance of like aspirational, like look what she did, look at what she's accomplished, look at what she's still accomplishing. And like, I could do that too.
Yeah. And like I feel like I want women to feel that way. Like, I think I'm one of the like, Like, I found this girl on TikTok posted. She's like, "Where are the like founders that like aren't on private jets and aren't like whatever?" And I literally was like, "That was me." And I think that's why it resonated so much. Was like, I bootstrapped this with my own money. Like, I had no relationships with really anyone to kind of get this off the ground. I had no event experience really, like starting it. Like,
Yeah.
I think it can really just show like that grit and determination can get you so far. And I think that's like for the girlies that like relate to that story, like, even this Business Insider piece I got the other day was talking about how I like bootstrapped it and wrote myself a $50,000 check into the business and like bet on myself, like was one of my highest performing posts. And it was funny. I didn't even think it was like going to be that resonant, but I think it's because like we're seeing now, like people want that story. Like they want that underdog, like, out of nowhere, you built something out of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's impressive. You should be really proud.
Thank
I'm proud of
you.
you.
Thank
And I'm just
you.
proud to be along for the journey. But we're going to jump into branded banter. I
Okay.
want quick answers here. Don't overthink it. All right.
Okay.
What's your one holy grail beauty product?
Ooh, Fortuna Skin Balm. It's like a blue balm.
Ooh, it's a good one. What's one product or trend you're officially breaking up with?
Oh God, product or trend. I don't know. That's a tough one. I guess like maybe like the crazy barrel leg jeans. I love a barrel leg jean, but the crazy ones. You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like Marina wears those
All the time. But they look so
We're
good
looking
on
at
her.
you,
So
Marina. They do. She
they
like
look good
pulls
on
it off.
her.
And also
I
she's
don't
like,
think I pull them off is what I'm saying.
yeah.
I want like a midi
I
barrel
have like a
leg.
midi barrel.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link. All right. Founder-led brand or celebrity brand?
Founder led. I'm exhausted by the celeb led.
Yeah, it's like oversaturated. Virality or longevity?
Longevity.
Big budget campaign or scrappy idea with cultural relevance?
Now, big budget campaign.
What's the most overrated word in marketing right now?
Authenticity.
One word that will define the next era of beauty brands.
I think peptides. Honestly, molecules, like
Even
innovation.
I'm like, I need a whole like peptide.
No, we need a whole peptide
Please,
conversation.
I
It's
already am,
crazy.
like, talking about, like,
I'm getting pitched so many beauty brands right now, and it's all molecules and peptides.
Yeah, no, it's
crazy.
it's the thing. If you were launching a brand tomorrow, what's the first thing you'd obsess over?
I think the logo, probably.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
This was
Cris.
amazing. I feel like a masterclass in true community
Yeah.
and really showing up, really nurturing it. I think so many brands are failing at it and trying again.
Yeah.
And this is such an amazing resource for those big brands and indie brands, founders who are really trying to find community, be a part of one, and build one themselves. So I really thank you,
Yay.
Jack.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.